おはようございます。Good morning. It is 6:42 and it's about 10 degrees in this room. So I'm waiting for the heater to warm it up a bit before we hop out of this warm futon. So while we're in this warm futon, we can think about what we're doing today. We are going to be walking about 25 kilometers or so. We will be walking through some villages. We're in the Ki Peninsula, which is the peninsula just south of Kyoto. It's where Koyasan is, so you may know that name, the Shingon Buddhist Center. But we are on a part of the Kumano Kodo called the Ise-Ji, and we're going to be walking about 25 to 30 kilometers of that today. As you can tell by the fact that I can't open my eyes, it takes me a little while to wake up. Literally just woke up and turned this thing on. So the room is, I think, now maybe 12 degrees. So we can try getting up and see what's going on and getting ready. Anyway, I look forward to walking with you all today. So this is our futon, and this is the room we stayed in last night. We are in a pretty cute little ryokan. They call themselves a ryori ryokan, which means a food ryokan, which means they're very proud of their food, and it was very good food indeed. But it's this kind of cute little place. Check this TV out. Pretty dope. From 1983, one of my favorite models. Um, but it's worn around the edges, and these are definitely some little bit old tatami going on here, but really cozy, and the food was indeed amazing. Such good food. Really, really good food. They even did my laundry last night, so this is this is the makeshift laundry situation. We've got socks, base layer. This is a nice warm merino wool base layer. These are the tights not of a tiny woman or baby, but mine. These are my tights. They get bigger. And then some Patagonia trail running shorts. So breakfast was just delivered, and I was recording part of it, but the wife, the mother of the inn, the questions got so personal, and her she provided so much personal information. I thought, even to a small group like you folks, maybe not nice to broadcast that. So let's check out breakfast, which was delivered to my room, which was a surprise one. I didn't think I was going to be eating in my room when I booked this place. And also, this place is it's not that expensive. It's pretty cheap. Um, but this may be some of the best food I'm having on the trip. So this is what they delivered. We get grilled fish. Looks like salmon, sake, a little bit of egg over there. This is kind of a mix of boiled things, renkon, some seaweed, bean, probably some tofu related stuff in there. I have my pot of rice. I'm sure this is very delicious rice. And a single umeboshi. Umeboshi. So while I'm eating, we can be efficient here and can talk about what we're going to see today, what we're going to do, have a little breakfast together. Um, Today's walk is going to consist of a little bit of village walking, a little bit of town walking. We have at least one pass, um, mountain pass, uh, more like technically three-ish, but I think only one is worth mentioning or even counting. So I consider only one mountain pass, but there's actually three. So we'll see what those are like. We're going to be walking past some pretty cool historical markers. There'll be a temple, a shrine, at least one or two of those. There will be a very cool cafe I'm hoping to take us to um, that just has a good vibe. And I'm kind of hoping to have lunch there. That's my plan. It is 7:10 right now, and I'm kind of changed. Gonna eat this breakfast, uh, wash up. I'm pretty much packed. I was packed the night before, 90%. The less I have to think about in the morning, the better. We're gonna make some coffee in a minute, and then we're gonna get going. Sound good? Thanks for being here. So one of the most important bits of the day is the coffee making bit. Oops, we gotta empty that out. Hold on. Okay, cleaned out the pot, which means now we can do coffee. So I carry this as one of my big indulgences, whether I'm camping properly or if I'm doing this sort of ryokan style camping. Little collapsible, super light coffee filter holder, coffee filters. Depending on how obnoxious I'm being, I bring a little handheld grinder, but I was trying to keep the weight down on this walk, so I had it pre-ground. This is some Baruni coffee, totally delicious. And so if I'm using this Kyusu, this is this pot here, as the coffee receptacle, works pretty well, pretty much in every ryokan you find. So we are doing try to get about, I don't know, 15 to 20 grams. Just eyeball it. Smells amazing. And what I love about this is that having a little bit of coffee to nip into, I use this Zojirushi thermos as my coffee flask. Having a little bit of coffee to nip into along the trail is great, especially if you're feeling a little bit chilly, where you stop for a second and want to warm up. Normally, I use the big coffee or the big hot water heater to do this, but mine seems to be broken. It has an error, so we are just using a pot of freshly boiled water, which is actually probably better because it won't quite be as hot. You don't really want 100-degree or 95-degree water for this. I find a little bit cooler. Oh man, that smells good. A little bit cooler unlocks the flavor a little bit better. Hopefully this isn't too cool. Anyway, should be good. So the the inn is super cute. I wanted to show you on the way to the washing up area what it looks like. Here's my room. Here's my bag. It is cold. It's very, very cold. Isn't this cute? It's so cute. Hello. We just paid, and I I'm here with the owner of the inn, Mr. Ogura Akira. Hello.
Hello.
How long have you been running the inn?
え
何年ぐらいですかね、ここやってるの。
61年、2年になりますね。
So it's 62 years running this inn, and it was very wonderful, and the food was amazing.
ボロボロです。
He said it's falling apart. Yeah, 料理本当に美味しかったです。
ありがとうございます。
Yeah, some amazing food. Anyway, so now we are off. See you in a bit. And we are off. Finally walking. It is pretty chilly out, but it feels good. Warm up as soon as body gets moving. It's a little bit windy. Sort of right on the edge of, I think, winter really coming. So getting the winds a little stronger than they were a couple days ago. But what a sweet little inn back there. That guy next to the tree over there, right there. Very cute little inn, amazing food, simple. That cost me, with dinner and breakfast, about $75. So not so bad. And they were lovely. We are leaving about 45 minutes later than expected because I got super interviewed by his wife, but that's what happens. This is the Ouchiyama River that we're kind of following all the way down the peninsula. We're following the river, and there are also some railroad tracks running alongside as well. A lot of the walking is sort of down roads like this, which cut through um, sort of villages, little towns. Some are a little more alive than others. You can see up on the mountain here behind this building, there's a cut of harvested trees. So lumber is a big industry around here. Oh, good morning. Ohio. And let's see here. In a second, you're going to be able to see up on the mountain. That's the lumber is sort of chopped into the mountainside there. So you see a lot of that. This is probably post-typhoon, potentially post-typhoon, fixing up of bits of the riverbed, uh, which often the rivers get quite messy after the typhoons come through here, and we had that big one about a month ago, so there's probably some work being done to fix that up. Woo! It is chilly willy out here. Holy moly. Um, but it will get hot for sure before too long. Um, let's see here. I'm recording in a program called Filmic Pro, I think, just because it's the only one of the only apps that lets you record video with with AirPods, so you guys can get some better audio. I didn't want to be using the iPhone mic. I wanted to have good audio. So we have some up here, some burning going on. Someone's burning something, and I suspect it is the farmers burning some of their leftovers from the rice crops that were picked not too long ago. Oh, there he is. Hello. Ohayou gozaimasu. ちょっといいですか、質問。これなんでしょう。ああ、草。はい。おー、なるほど。やっぱりみんなやるんですね、これ。燃やしたりとか。昔はみんなしとったな。ああ。よく山火事があるって言って、これで。ああ。乾燥時期にやると。はい。山上がったらもう全部いかれるで。ああ。まあ、そうですね。こんなところでね、問題ないですね。山の際で、こんな田舎は田んぼ。Well, that was interesting. He's talking about how the burning of that stuff used to cause. Oh, good morning. Ohio. Burning of that stuff used to cause mountain fires, forest fires. He said, I'm being careful. Don't worry. Oh, Farmer man, we are not worried. We are not worried one bit. Oh, it's a mirror. Hello. Should I photograph it? No. What's kind of interesting about walking the Ise-Ji is I really love the interplay between the old roads and then the infrastructure that was put in the last 50 or 60 years. So if you came to this area back in, say, the 40s, um, there was almost none of this, certainly none of the highways, and even the railway isn't that old. And you'll see a little bit later today, we're going to be going into communities that are right on the coast, little hamlets tucked into coves. And a big part of their lifestyle was moving between villages by boat or by the mountain paths that we're going to be walking a bit of today. So, as expected, it is getting warmer. I'm feeling already much warmer, thinking about taking a layer off. Um, Body check, so just seeing how I feel. Feel pretty good. Just trying to adjust this. I'm using an app I've never used before. It's the only one that I found that could let me use the AirPods, and so it doesn't really do auto focus and auto exposure. It's a little weird. Um, Maybe it does. I just don't know how to do it, probably. But body check, just trying to see how I feel today. I've done about 30 to 32K over the last 2 days. 30K yesterday, 32K the day before. Carrying about, honestly, a little bit too much on the pack, 14 kilograms or so. I have to keep cutting the videos off before a minute so I can upload them to Instagram. So carrying about 14K on the back, which is a lot, but you know, that includes this guy, this Leica camera, and this Sumalux, which alone weigh definitely too much. This is probably 3 kilos at least of equipment right here. Then I've got my MacBook Pro, which I find is the only thing I can use to really work efficiently. So I tried doing the iPad thing for a while, and I just found that everything took about 4 times as much effort, and there's a bunch of stuff I couldn't do, so it didn't make sense to bring that with me. The MacBook Pro lets me do everything. 13-inch is pretty small enough. I wish the 12-inch was still around. So the MacBook Pro's in there. This camera's on the shoulder. Um, what else is going on? I've got 2 sets of audio recording devices. I've got a little Sony high definition recorder. I plug my binaural microphones into that. We'll see that in a little bit when I do an SW945 recording in a couple hours, maybe up at one of the passes today. So that weighs a little bit. It's not too heavy. You'll see, not too big. And then I've got a little Tascam lav mic recorder because I'm planning on recording a an episode of On Margins about the SMS book that I produced earlier this year, and it's kind of fun to walk and talk and make those episodes. So I'll probably do that using that mic. As for other equipment, stuff that weighs a lot, um, water obviously ends up taking about a kilo or two. I mean, in the winter, I'm hardly drinking any water. Yesterday and the day before, I drank less than half a liter each day. Uh, just not sweating, just not the air is not too dry. I don't feel tremendous need to be hyperhydrated. When I walked this in May earlier this year, by the end of it, I was drinking 5 liters of water a day. So that's kind of the difference between walking in December and walking in late May is water issues and water weight. So you can see we're on a road still. There's a lot of road walking, like I said. The Kumano Kohechi and Nakahechi are much more mountains only, but you kind of don't get any villages. I really enjoy the villages. What's interesting about these roads today is that these are sort of the older original roads pre-highway. Some of these would be service roads for the lumber industry, but they tend to be quite quiet. So I'm just kind of walking down the middle of the road, not worrying about cars. So it's not an issue. The biggest issue with roads is feet. Asphalt plus a heavy pack plus feet. It's a bad combo. So most blister issues that I've found, or foot pain issues, are often always connected with asphalt walking. Asphalt and a little bit too much weight on the back. So, what are the rules for this walk, or for this broadcast? If you have any questions, just send me a DM. And what I'm going to do, because I don't want to constantly be looking at things, I'm basically going into Instagram just to throw these videos up and then running away. But send me DMs if you have questions, and I will check once an hour or so, and we'll be responding to stuff in there. And yeah, just let me know if things aren't working, if you can't hear the audio, if the video is a little bit weird. Some people are waking up over here. Um, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, I'm just going to try to show you all the weird little details that I see along the way on these walks. So, one of the problems is that uh, the route isn't really well marked in a lot of places. I'm navigating off of a GPS file that I have that kind of has the route shown in there. And then I take photos using Gaia app. I take photos of all the signs I see to add those to the GPS file, which I'm going to release afterwards once this is all done. You can see there are some solar installations here. More and more, you're seeing, in a lot of cases, ooh, what's going on up there? Something's happening up in the woods. But more and more, you're seeing a lot of the tea fields of this area be replaced with solar panels. In fact, on day one, there was quite a big wind farm up on the mountains. That was kind of a surprise to see. Reminded me a little bit of parts of the Camino in Spain. So this is a good example of just sort of some of the detritus you see around as you're walking. Some leftover farm equipment, abandoned farm posts. I mean, right around me in this area, it's just this intense stench of manure. So there's still a lot of farming going on, but not as much as there used to be. And you get these sort of abandoned, sort of disused pornography that is kind of interesting to peek at and photograph to a certain degree. Something's going on in there. Lots of equipment, lots and lots of small farm equipment. He's telling me to not get run over. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the heads up. And you see this with houses as well. You start to get what are called akiya, which are open, uninhabited houses. And this looks like an akiya to me. Um, Usually the owners have passed away or they've moved into a retirement home. And the dealing with the house is too onerous. Ohayou gozaimasu. どうも。これ、空き家ですかね、ここ。あ、やってたんですか。あここですね。もう、誰も住んでないんですよね。ああ、ねえ、ねえ、もうちょっと大切にしたいですね。うん。そうですね。はい、失礼します。So that's a good example of the type of people who are left. Um, those two, how old do you think those two were? Maybe they were 85, 90? I mean, they're pretty up there. And then you sometimes get these houses like this, which are clearly being taken care of and look relatively new. So there's a bit of a mix, but overall, um, what you kind of get a strong sense of is when people talk about this aging population in Japan. Oh, the average age is going up and up. It's becoming more and more lopsided. What does that really mean, or what does that really look like? Well, when you walk through the wind tunnel and through these back roads and villages and towns like this, you begin to get a real sense of it. And they were lamenting, those two were lamenting the fact that it used to be this thing. I couldn't understand what he said. It used to be some shop, and that closed down, and now it just falls into disrepair. And that makes them sad. Makes me sad. There's some work being done, construction being done. Try not to walk into this guy's ladder. Ohayou gozaimasu. I looked at about a million political signs, and this one is my favorite. A man who has never high-fived anyone ever before in his life is high-fiving whoever that is. Good job. And then right next to that is a no tax, no, don't increase the shohize, don't increase the sales tax. We don't want it 10%. What's the reason? What? Well, too bad. It went up, and now we're dealing with the very complicated shohize sales tax situation now. Sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 10, depending on how the item is being used, or if you're eating inside or outside of the restaurant. This is amazing. I just want to point out what's going on here, because it's so totally incredible. These guys are cleaning weeds, and one of the guys, all he's doing is holding this sort of fence to keep the weeds from flying into the cars. And then this guy is making sure the cars don't run over the guy with the fence. So these boxes on the sides of Japanese houses you'll see quite a bit, especially these older houses. And these guys kind of open up and uh, wooden slats slide out. So some people put them up every night. That seems a little excessive to me, but during typhoons, you'll pull those out to protect the glass. And sometimes they are very beautifully carved. And this one looks pretty roughly made. But if I see a particularly gorgeous one, yesterday I saw quite a few that were exquisite. Um, so they can become, they're both a practical and can be a really amazing design element of a house. Here's one that's kind of made of plastic almost. You can see the handle over there on the side that would open up. So this is good. This is a rare Ichirizuka Ato. So the remains or where a Ichirizuka, one Rizuka mound, one Ri mound, would have been. And Ichirizuka were mile markers back during the Edo period, so 1600s, late 1800s, and they would mark off the equivalent of what an adult could walk in about an hour. So about 4 kilometers. So each Irizuka would be 4 kilometers apart. And yeah, this is just a little memorial to. Oh, good morning. This is a little memorial to where the Ichirizuka would have stood on this spot next to the river. And the way that the Kumano is maintained is there are bits that are definitely more well maintained than others. And so after walking, we walked for about an hour. We've done about 4.5K this morning, 5K or so. We're finally now entering something that kind of looks like a mountain path. Um, and the reason why I'm kind of walking as much as I'm walking and I'm doing the whole route and walking on the roads is I want to know exactly what bits are the best bits. So here's a good example of some of the more fancy markers they have. That's our goal, trying to get there by next Monday. So Shingu Made, into the distance to Shingu, 110 kilometers left. And so we've done 60 by this calculation so far. Kumano Kodo. And then a very fancy bathroom in a wooden house of course. This is probably a little bit closer to what you were imagining most of the walks are like. And certainly some are very much like this, and others are a little more rural. The Nakasendo that I did in May was mostly cities and villages. But here's a good example of some of the old walls that are left. And some of these would be Edo period walls, so some of these would be 200 or 300 years old, from when people were either mapping out farm plots up here. So there was some terraced rice paddies in some of these forests. This doesn't really look like that was it. But also just maintaining the path itself, because for a very long time, these paths were the only way to get between these villages aside from taking boats. So they were in active use for quite a while until very recently. Going to do a quick coffee and message check break because it's pretty nice here. Beautiful little perch by the river. Try to get that to expose properly. Um, and forest here behind. I think these are mainly just cedars, as you find in a lot of Japanese forests, very monoculturalistic. Let me check messages and see if you have any questions. I can do a little Q&A right now. My 9:45 alarm on my Garmin is going off. It means I'm supposed to be recording SW945 right now, but um, very rarely does it get recorded at 9:45. But it's a good reminder. And I snooze it, and then it keeps going off until I finally do it, so I don't forget. And one of you wrote to me that you were sad you didn't see me drink the coffee that I made. Well, it is in here, and I will show you. I drink it, and it is great. Mmm, like a fine wine of coffee, as if coffee was actually wine. It's really good, and it's just nice to have that throughout the day. It stays hot, and it tastes delicious because it goes really well with chocolate almonds. So this is good. We are making excellent time, and we're back out of the mountains into little villages now. This is a very cute. Let's see, I'll walk backwards for you. This is a very cute little town that we're going to be strolling through. And look at the clouds. It's excellent. It's really warm in the sun, and then as soon as you enter the shade, it feels like White Walkers are going to pop out and take us out. But I like this back and forth on this walk, the into the mountains, out of the mountains, into the mountains, out of the mountains. I'm not super keen on just big nature only walks. I'm not against them, but there's something about the interplay of people and living near nature and around nature and how that affects lifestyle and architecture choices and things like that. It's interesting to me. But more good examples of sort of the Akiya phenomena, just the empty abandoned houses that are left around here. Um, and then contrasting with, there's clearly still life happening in this village. People are planting their crops, they're doing their little gardens. This house looks relatively new and really well maintained. Here's an old electronics shop. You can hear the highways just up there, or maybe you can't hear it. There's a highway just up there that was kind of cut through all these old villages. This is sort of interesting, just worth pointing at. This is a cistern of water that is apparently just for the fire department. Sort of sitting here saying for fire-related uses. And it has the Hi no Yoji sign here, which is the make sure you're being careful with your fires sign that you see sort of all over Japan, all over villages and even all over Tokyo. Because so much of Japan used to be close, close built wooden architecture, and so fires were a serious issue. So this constant reminder of being careful with your fires. This is sort of interesting and random. This says O Uchiyama Daishi do Kobo, which I assume is the Kobo Daishi of Kobo Daishi, the founder of Shingon Buddhism. And it's someone's house, and they put up this big sign, and the shrine, the sort of enshrined Buddhist god back here, is just right next to their entrance of their house. Just kind of interesting to see. I don't think I've seen someone advertise uh, such a big sign, such a small thing. But Kobo Daishi is the Shingon Buddhism founder, and he's the one who started Koyasan, which is somewhere way over there. Well, not too far, 50 kilometers maybe that way. And you'd hit Koyasan. Hello, so it is 10:40, and it'll be good time for another little break. Got a little park here. I've got some protein snacks. These are my current favorite protein snack. They're vegan, 7 grams of protein, goji and coconut. Pretty tasty, which is sort of the main. Tasty and light. You're always balancing weight, tastiness, and amounts of protein when it comes to these snacks. We are right now at Mise-Dani Station, so one of the train stations along this track. And there's good facilities here, good bathrooms right back there. And it's just nice to take off the boots. We've done today so far 10K. We're almost at 10K already. So that's great. So 10K, it's 10:40 in the morning. We're going to start making our way up to Nizaka Toge. So there's 2 routes from here. It splits off right at this point. I think it's Tsuzurado Toge goes that way, and then Nisaka Toge is that way. And because I'm trying to, the point of this walk, at least this time around, is sort of to walk and touch all of the bits in a north-south direction that I haven't done yet. In May, I actually walked both of these routes. I did Nisaka from the other side this way and Tsuzurato from this way south. So today, even though the Tsuzurato one is considered the more official or real or better route, we're going to take the Nisaka because I haven't done it from this direction yet. So I think Instagram just flagged me as a spam account. So the account disappeared for a little while. Should be back. I'm guessing you'll see this. I guess this is what happens when you make a new account, you suddenly get 150 followers, you don't follow anyone, you don't post anything, and then you start uploading just hours of video. They don't like that. Maybe they think I'm uploading copyrighted movies. Who knows? But I just verified my phone number, and I think it should be okay now. Wish us luck. Hello. So we were at Umegadani Station, not Mise-Dani Station. Sorry about that. All of these station names are kind of weird little permutations on each other. So we're going to be walking up this route on this road for the next kilometer or so to get us to the entryway to the pass of Nizaka Toge. Here we are again, now down a little back street, a little kind of nook off the main highway. You can see some more burning going on over there. Old woman just walked back there somewhere, hiding. She saw us coming, ran away. Yeah, that's probably more farmers dealing with their leftovers. I think technically it's illegal, but the burning has been going on for generations, and so I think these folks just, they don't care. They're just going to keep burning, and the authorities kind of look the other way. some of my beloved laundry, which I've spent many an hour photographing along the Kumano Kodo. You see lots and lots and lots of little bits of life along these paths. おはよう。どうも。おはようございます。どういうものを植えてるんですかね。キャベツこれからの季節ですか、キャベツの。確かに。はいはいはい。いいですね。立派な畑ですね、これ。失礼します。He's planting cabbage and broccoli, plants it all year round. Now we're kind of connecting back up with the main highway over here, which we're on for about another 1.5K or so. But I think there should be a really interesting abandoned building partway up. This is great. Someone is sunning their futon, outside their futon, outside their window there. So that's probably their bedroom right up there. And they just open the window and flop the futon on the roof there to dry it out, to air it out. A beautiful sunny day like today. So this is great. This is a love hotel, now completely abandoned. Who knows how many years ago it had its final customer? Probably a long, long time ago. But it's probably one of my favorite pieces of abandonment along the Ise-Ji. So you can see here the signs have the prices, and it's about $60 to spend the night if you're a member, and then to just hang out, it's about 35 bucks, $40. Just a couple of hours of love hotel activity. And what's great is it's called the White House. It's kind of a hilarious name. And let's talk about the architecture here for a second. So you see the way it's set up is tiny entrance. Those lights up on the top there would be flashing if it was open. Parking happens behind this wall, so very private. And they also have, you see these garages. This is just amazing. The amount of kind of overgrowth that's just been subsumed by nature. So you have these garages that connect directly to the rooms. So it's straight from your car into a a room. Let's see what's going on. I've never really peeked in here. Otoboke. Should we go take a little look? This is slightly terrifying. Could be dead bodies. Oh, yeah, it's just kind of amazing how. So I guess you'd come in here and then the rooms would be in the back. It's just amazing how this is left totally undisturbed. No squatters. Doesn't even seem like there's animals living in there. Yeah, it's just sort of empty. It looks like this would have been maybe the check-in area or selling goods, and then just kind of continues through to the back there, and then here's the overgrown entrance over here. But how totally, welcome to the White House. How totally strange. I guess nobody is taking their mistresses or married husbands to places like this anymore in this neck of the wood. Everyone's a bit too old. And here we are coming out the backside. This is kind of interesting, weird piece of Japanese social ephemera. I guess the analog would be motel kind of in the middle of nowhere in the US. Similar sort of thing for certain private acts to be done. People would also stay here, just spend the night, not explicitly for uh, kind of adultery or sex. So we've made it now to the sort of beginning of the entrance ish to the toge, to the pass Nizaka toge. So that's written nimotsu no ni. So it's sort of luggage uh, slope pass. And I imagine that this is probably the easier of the two, and maybe that's why this was used. This is called the luggage slope pass. This is where porters would cross. But this one, so says the sign, Sekai-san, it's UNESCO World Heritage Registered component of the Kumano Kodo. So let's enter into it. Lots of stuff going on here. We've made it to the top of this mountain. It's pretty freaking easy from this side. That's what I wanted to confirm. Planning on taking maybe a group, doing a walk and talk possibly on this route next year. And so just wanted to touch every little bit so I know with certainty exactly how difficult, how easy it is, how much road walking there is or isn't. So great. We know that north-south, Nizaka, piece of cake coming up. Going down, it's going to be a little more intense. In fact, I'm going to break out my walking poles for that because going down is kind of what messes with the knees. But let's take a look around up here on the pass because there's a few interesting things going on. So this is where I just walked in from, and this is what the pass kind of looks like. It's sort of done up. I think this is one of the passes that folks will drive up to or be driven up to and then just kind of walk from here. So it's quite accessible. And you see suddenly now there's all this signage and kind of explanation. Uh, so it's written Nisaka sometimes and Nizaka sometimes. Nisaka Toge. So it's only 241 meters, so really not much at all. And just down at that last station, we were already 150 or so, so even less than a 100-meter climb. On the way down, going forward, there's a few things that we're going to want to look out for. Um, there is the shishigaki, so this is to keep inoshishi out of gardens that were in the woods. These are kind of Edo era walls. They're quite cool. We have another Ichirizuka ato, so not the zuka itself, but the ato, the remains. So that'll be after the bottom. And we're going to go to this lookout point, which is just a few minutes away, it seems. Miharashi no ii kyukeijo datte. And this is where I think we're going to record SW945 today because yesterday and the day before I did two pretty quiet episodes, and this is a Michi no Eki. It should be pretty bustling. It'd be just kind of fun to sit in there and record everything that's going on around us. And then over here is an old sign that gives a little bit more of historical context. So there used to be a chaya on this peak here, and talks a little bit about when this route started. And they don't know, Edo Jidai, Itsugoroka, they don't know, there's no record of it when this chaya opened, but for people doing the Shikoku Henro and Ise, Jingu, the sort of the pilgrimage along the Ise, then this was a place that they remembered fondly. And it was even at the beginning of Meiji, or at the end of Meiji to the beginning of Showa, there were jinriksha, so human-powered taxis waiting up here to take people down to the station. Or maybe not the station, but somewhere down below. And apparently there is a stone Buddha statue. I think it's a little bit further down, but there's a sign up here in the mountain. I'm not going to climb up there to check, but the side up there says that there is a Kanon uh, statue, a stone Kanon statue. So maybe it's up there. Who knows? Um, but it's kind of hilarious the amount of flaggage that suddenly appears, and really it's from this point onward that the Ise-Ji kind of becomes a little more standardized in the walking. Sort of up to this point, a lot of folks don't do the walk that I've just done over the last couple of days. And you can see on here that it is the 15th anniversary of Kumano Kodo receiving World Heritage listing. So 2019 is the 15th anniversary. And then down here is a sign saying to watch out for mamushi, which are the pit vipers that you have in Japan, um, that you do kind of have to watch out for, but as long as you don't go stomping on them, you should be okay. Testing this out with voice processing, so-called voice processing. How does this sound? Hello from this little bench. We have a great view here of what we're going to be descending towards, which is Ki Nagashima, which is sort of nestled back here. I think that's a kite flying, tombi in Japanese. There's lots of kites down this peninsula, hunting birds. They have a very distinctive kind of squeal. It's actually quite cool. But so what's great about today is you're seeing the farm component, so the valley-based farming, rice farming, vegetable farming, and then we're going to be finishing the day in a port town, just beyond this town actually, so on the other side of that lip, and that will be primarily a fishing town. Really lovely, well-maintained route. You kind of get a sense of it. Nice mix of rocks, old rocks that have been kind of carved into steps, placed rocks to act as steps. Got a lot of roots. Very, very easy descent and easy ascent too. It's just, I remember being quite intense. And they have markers all along here too. Once you get to these kind of more maintained bits. So if there's ever a problem, you say I'm on Nisaka and I'm at marker 5. So people can come and rescue you. And there's cell service around here, so it's all very, very, very accessible and low barrier to entry. If you just want to come out for the day and do one of these passes, then take the trains back to Ise City if you're spending the night there for Ise Shrine. Another viewpoint called Okimi Daira, which offers a slightly different view, kind of like the other view, a bit better. You see a little more of the city down there, the town down there, and you get a better sense of the sort of the geology of the peninsula. One of the things that is, I think, so delightful about the Kii Peninsula is just how compressed it is and geologically so intense. Even though none of these mountains are that high, the density is quite astounding. And so there's always this sense of layering happening when you look out from really any of the peaks. I think it's really beautiful. This is also sort of interesting. They split parts of the road into Edo roads, so from the 1600s to the 1800s, and Meiji roads, which would have been from the late 1800s onward during post-Meiji Restoration. And just showing you how the road changed with time. So the Meiji road is a little bit probably easier on the knees and a little less intense, and the Edo road is a little bit more steep, and you just kind of go straight down to connect. Let's take the Meiji road, see what that one looks like. Just did a back and forth between the Edo and the Meiji roads, and this is one of the Edo ones. It just kind of goes right up the mountain, right down the mountain. Super efficient. No switchbacks is essentially the difference between the two. One switches back and forth and the other doesn't. I would not recommend doing the Edo roads unless you want to. The Meiji ones are way, way safer. Lots of opportunities to slip on the Edo roads for sure. Finally had to take my sweater off, man. I had this big wool sweater on. So in terms of layering today, I'm doing the this sort of merino wool base layer, and I've got this other sort of slightly heavier merino wool piece on top. These are both, well, bottom's Arc'teryx. This is Icebreaker. I love these Lecky poles. These are carbon Lecky poles. They weigh almost nothing. They are so light. I've really beaten the hell out of them. You can see at the bottom how much I've scraped off on rocks and stuff. I've treated them like I think you should treat poles, which is intensely and sort of, you know, using it to get your way up and down mountains, not babying them. But I want to show you how easy it is to fold and unfold these things. Okay, so here it is completely extended, and you just push this button in, and then the whole thing collapses very, very easy. And then boom, it's just like that. It's very tiny, very light. And then when you want to extend it, you just do that, and you just pull on the piece that you stuck into the main body. Pull it, it'll snap, it'll lock, and then boom, your pole is ready. Super fast. What I love about it is you don't have to readjust the length. So the length is adjusted up here, and so once this is set, this doesn't move. This comes in and out of this part of the body. And so this unmovable, uncollapsible bit is where length is adjusted. So you're always at the same length you were last time you put it away. It's kind of cool. And then all packed up, that's where the poles sit. I put them in a little case they come with because it's just nice to keep the dirt off the bag. Sits in one of these extremely durable pouches on the back of this Hyperlite pack, and then it's just strapped in with one of the cinch straps on the side. And then my sweater and things like that are just shoved in the back in this net, which I really, really love the design of. I'll talk more about this bag um, when I get to the inn tonight, and we'll do a packing overview because I'll take everything out at the end. It's kind of a little bit wonky shaped today, but yeah, I really, really love this pack. Talk more about that later. Walking out of the mountain now, and we've got this Shishigaki, the stone walls that they mentioned up at the sign on the top, the Shishigaki, to protect the rice paddies and vegetable gardens from things like Inoshishi, wild boars that are still roaming the mountains of Japan, something you kind of have to watch out for. But these would have been used 100, 200 years ago. A lot of them have, there's parts along the Ise-Ji a little further down, have keystones. Very cool. There'd just be this big stone that would be moved in and out for people to kind of pass through. A few of you asked about batteries. Ooh, what am I doing about batteries? Well, one, I'm using iPhone 11 Pro to film all this, and I'm using AirPod Pro to capture all the audio. That's the entirety of this setup. I have to say I really dig um, the wide angle camera for a lot of this shooting. Let's see, why am I not getting proper exposure? Wow, I'm like just walked into literally the sun. What's, what's going on? Woo-hoo. This is the fun part of these. Okay, so in terms of batteries as connected to equipment, um, yeah, the iPhone 11 Pro has a great battery. It's one of probably the biggest benefits of the iPhone 11 Pro is its battery life. It's exceptional. And I've been filming all morning. I have GPS running on it. I have GPS running on my watch too. I always like to have two GPSs running at the same time. No one should ever have fewer than two GPSs ever running. So that's all locked in. And uh, my battery is probably at about 30% right now. So we will. There we go. That's a little better exposure. So we're heading right now to the Michi no Eki. So Michi no Eki, the road station, just kind of like a rest stop, Japanese style rest stop. And it's called Mambo Michi no Eki. And it's because I think one of the famous foods of this area is the mambo food, just sort of like a grilled stuff on sticks. So we'll probably see that there. I was planning on having lunch at the cafe a bit further down, but because we're running a bit behind on time, I think I'm just going to eat at Mambo, Michinoeki, and record SW945 and charge up this phone and the AirPods. And I've got, as far as chargers go, I've just got a 10,000, was it milliwatt hour, milliamp hour, amp watt hour, MWA. Got a 10,000 something battery in my backpack, and that should easily charge it. I also have, as an extra backup, my MacBook. So, I mean, worst case scenario, if that extra battery runs out, I can just plug it into the MacBook, which should recharge this phone 2 or 3 times pretty easily. So, I don't know. I could theoretically do what I'm doing right now, probably for about 2 or 3 days, GPS plus video plus uploading with just the batteries that I have on me right now. So, it's pretty good. Back down into sort of the little village areas. We're about 300, 400 meters from the Michinoeki, so lunch and other stuff is waiting. Sort of like it's like a big marketplace. Just a bunch of stuff in there. Ice cream, souvenirs, yada yada yada. We're coming up on Ki Nagashima Station, and Ki Nagashima is probably one of the. He ran away. One of the. Konnichiwa. No. Ki Nagashima is probably one of the biggest stations along this whole route. So I am going to pop in there after lunch and before our cafe break and grab a ticket home for Tuesday ahead of time. What's great about this Michinoeki is that it's run by Illuminati, so that's super cool. Sometimes Beyonce is here, sometimes Jay-Z is here, sometimes MC Hammer is here. You never know who you're going to find in the Illuminati Michinoeki. Let's go in and see what's going on. It's very, very empty today. Last time we were here, it was crazy. It's packed. Uh, yeah, it's kind of like a weird souvenir supermarket. So I was going to order the mambo, but mambo's kind of fish, and apparently it's the famous fish of this place. But hello, hey, I'm getting looked at. Howdy, the smokers. Oh, the smokers. They're listening. Mambo is the famous fish here, but they couldn't catch any, so we don't have any to eat. Just the way it goes. So instead, I'm having a bowl of ramen because I know I'm going to get rice tonight. So we got one of the most important parts of a walk. Critical. This is absolutely critical. And without this, you can't complete a walk. It's impossible. It's physically impossible unless you break the space-time fabric of reality. You need to have ice cream. You got to have an ice cream every single day. Ice cream. Very good. This is Uchiyama. Uchiyama, I think is the name of the town. Nearby, we walked through it actually before the pass. That produces the milk, that produces the ice cream. Yum yum. It's about 1:20 right now, and we've done 17K almost. It's pretty good. So we're going to head towards the station. A couple of points of interest we're going to stop by. There's a temple and a shrine that we're going to see. There's another stone marker that we're going to see. 2 stone markers, historical markers. We're going to stop by that cafe, which should be open. I called them yesterday. They said they were going to be open till 4 p.m. today. So we'll stop by that cafe and get a coffee there. That'll be yummy. Just a cool cafe. And stop by the station to get a ticket. And then we have another mountain pass to do on our way to our inn for the night. Had a few people ask about these sunglasses. These are Mykita, M-Y-K-I-T-A, sunglasses made in Berlin. I really like them. They're great. I bought them originally as normal glasses, and I didn't like them as normal glasses, but I love them as sunglasses. Polarized, really comfy. You can see kind of the way the sky looks behind me. That's how it kind of looks through these glasses too, in the sense of just like really good separation of color and very pretty. They feel strong. They're light, a little expensive, but I think they're worth it. So this is Jizo-in. Jizo is the bodhisattva of sort of the patron saint of travelers, but it's also the patron saint of children. So folks who've lost children or lost babies while they're in the womb will often come and pray to the Jizo, and you'll see them along the paths. A lot of Kumano has Jizo on them. The bibs there, sort of in recognition of their protection of children in the afterlife. But what's really supposed to be interesting about this place is a monument to the Koshin folk religion, which I think this might be sitting in the back there on the left. And the other is a statue of Kongo Doji, I think. Let me check. Yeah, that seems to be the Kongo Doji statue back there. But the Koshin religion was interesting because it was this sort of slightly wacky folk religion that folks believed worms lived inside your head. And every 60 days they would report up to the gods how you've been doing, if you've been good or bad. Sort of like if Santa Claus put worms inside of you instead of him just knowing. And so what they do is they would stay up all night every 60 days and have a party and not go to sleep because the worms would only ascend to the gods when you were sleeping. So there was this kind of strange folk religion that spread quite a bit in this area. I'm thinking over the last couple of years of walks I've done, how many little monuments I've seen to the Koshin religion. Here we are at the station. Pop in here to grab a ticket.9時13分。そうですね。はい。じゃあそれで。名古屋までね。そうですね。はい。はい。11,190円。はい。カードでもいいですか。はい。じゃあお願いします。More people putting their bedding out to sun today. Should probably pull those in. I think the sun is done for them. This little area is kind of fun. Just so now it's a little bit of an old Shotengai vibe around the corner, which is like an old shopping street vibe. But it's all sort of entering into various states of abandonment. This is a good example of what you call a shutagai, so shuttered shops. Shutters have been pulled down, never to be raised again. You're kind of seeing this in a lot of the rural parts of Japan, more and more becoming shutagai. And that's what they're talking about when they say that word shutta. Shutta, shutta, shutta. But we're going to go back into these back streets here. Man, there's a lot of cars in this. There's some crossing back there. Going into the back streets to find our little cafe that is not yet shuttered, but will someday be shuttered, I'm sure. Hey, so we finished with the cafe. That's a little cafe back there. Love that place. Coffee's okay, but just fun. It's open. Got a good vibe. They play Beach Boys music. This thing is really fascinating. This is sort of, I think this is a tsunami escape platform. I'm pretty sure that if a tsunami comes, you're supposed to run up there if you're nearby, because we are close to the ocean. And, you know, that's a thing in Japan, having to think about that, earthquakes and tsunamis. So I'd sort of forgotten to record SW945 at the Michi no Eki. It's just really boring. I thought there was going to be more life going on. I mean, there was literally no one else sitting in the dining area and no one shopping. It's crazy. I guess last time we were here it was a Saturday, and so just folks were out for the weekend, and it was just full of life. So instead, I re-recorded once again back there at that cafe, which I had done in May. So it's kind of like a little bit of parallel cafe recording going on. Anyway, you could hear the owner sort of talking with customers, just saying welcome and thank you, checking people out, making coffee, just the sounds of life over there. I think it's kind of a cool little spot. Maybe that'll become a pattern of the Ise-Ji, doing a recording at that little cafe each time I walk through here. So here we are, getting closer to some of those little villages we saw when we were up on the terrace earlier today. Some of these sea villages, walking over from one spit of the peninsula to the other. So this is one of these little seaside villages. It's got a little bit of a different tenor, a little more rust than the other villages we've seen. Hello. I really like the vibe. Man, it is very, very unhopping though. Let's see if we can find even one person. Two people. Some of these shops are almost museum quality in their other era-ness. It's pretty cool. Very beautiful light going on down this road right now. It's one of the nice things, well, good and bad things about walking north-south is you kind of have the sun facing you the whole way. But it does mean you get to climb the passes in shadow, which can be helpful, so you aren't too sweaty. And then when you're coming down, you kind of have the sunlight warming you up. Look at this stuff. Oh my God. Whew. You need a CD player. You need a look at these camcorders. Oh my God. Incredible. Absolutely amazing. Here's something that is quite common in Japan, which is this cementing of the mountain in order to keep earth from crashing down on the little village below. This village has a particularly funky style of lattice work that I kind of dig. I've photographed that before. More signage related to tsunamis up on the top of that building. Faster and higher when the tsunamis come. Let's make sure we get out of here. So it looks like that outer structures for community folks to get up that and get away from any incoming tsunamis. So this is the temple called Bukkoji, and supposedly there's a monument, quite old marker, related to tsunami victims from hundreds of years ago. So let's see if we can find it. Yeah, it looks like, so these two stone markers are them two tsunamis from One in 1707, 500 people were lost, and one in 1854, in which it doesn't say how many people were lost in 1854. Konnichiwa. これは津波関係のものですよね。You see sort of, as you're moving through even parts of Tokyo, certainly parts of Kamakura, basically anywhere that's near the shoreline, you'll see signs that tell you your meterage um, above the ocean. So you kind of always have this ambient sense of how safe you are or how far you are from a safe place. But you know, this has been sort of understood as kind of knowledge that if an earthquake happens nearby, so if you feel a strong earthquake near your town and you are on the water, a tsunami will most likely follow. So this has happened so many times that even hundreds of years ago, it was obvious that if the earthquake happens, find high ground, run up, get up the side of the mountains over there. So this is Nagashima Shrine up there. What's kind of cool about this is we have some kusunoki, some camphor trees that some are over 1,000 years old. Look at this thing. This is amazing. Holy moly. This guy is gigantic. This is so big. Wow. Incredible. It's kind of hard to tell with a wide angle lens what this thing is. Holy moly. Look at that. Gorgeous. Yeah, and this is good to point out that, shrines, Shinto, it's not even just about the buildings themselves, but it's about the area surrounding them. The sacredness of trees like that. It's kind of great to just get a little sense of the overview. So where were we earlier today? We were somewhere back, back over in there. Here's some more trees. What an incredible place. Doesn't really make any sense, but there's something about the shape of these tiny streets, the density, the combination of the power. I mean, look at the power lines. Look how ridiculous, absolutely absurd these power lines are. Look at that. Like, what is going? Just like, and the density. Why everything is so dense? All these shops are so dense. There's something about the whole package and the way the light hits this time of the day. I am just so happy to be out here walking and walking through places like this. This makes me so, so happy. It's completely irrational. It's so bizarre. And maybe it's, the lack of activity, the fact that it feels like this place is on its way out that is so affecting that becomes kind of its own pathos. This is pretty great. Having gone from the rice paddies earlier this morning to proper fishing industry here, small boats, big boats, and this massive dock to work on the ships. Very cool. So this is amazing. I've never never noticed this before, but this is a shop that just has a bunch of eggs in lockers, and you can just buy eggs out of a locker. You can just buy a basket of eggs for $3 out of a locker. That's so weird. Just eggs, nothing else. Amazing. It says picked, morning picked, fresh from the morning. Amazing. I don't know why I'm so amazed. I kind of want to buy some and just sort of like pay it forward and leave them on the table. Should we see what it's like? Okay, we got to try this. I just want to see the system in action. Someone deserves free eggs, and we are going to give them to them. All right. So which one? Ooh, they light up. That's exciting. Which one should we give away? This one? Woo! Amazing. I'm far too excited about this. Wow. Okay. Well, so what we'll do, we'll turn it sideways so it's very obvious. Take it. Take that one. Let's see. Anyway, someone will find those eggs and enjoy them. Or, actually, what is probably going to happen is someone's going to go in there. They're going to see someone forgot their eggs. They're going to look on the security footage. They're going to see that white guy didn't understand. He was supposed to take those eggs. They're going to find through a bunch of calls and police blotters, triangulate that I am staying in the onsen town right around the corner. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to get a delivery of a basket of eggs. I think that 73% likelihood that that's going to happen. Or someone else might get some free eggs, or they'll probably just be thrown away. We're coming up on the final pass of the day, walking through a field of solar panels, as one does before they head into the mountains. But an old man back there, who I told could have some free eggs, and was very confused by that, said we were about 20 minutes away from our destination. So that's exciting. Will he get the eggs? We'll never know, because we don't care that much. So here we are, about to head up one stone. So it's actually two tiny passes. One stone pass and then the flat way pass. Well, we'll see if it's flat or not. But I think they are very, very wimpy. So I guess I came up, I think this logging road, and this is the official route. And then we head up, pretty sure, up here, which looks actually kind of cool. A little bit ominous, into the darkness. If only I had brought those eggs. So, not the greatest path. I mean, just in the sense of the forest is so monocultural. And if this isn't obvious, this isn't sort of how forests normally grow. This is post-war cedar planting for harvesting and lumber and timber purposes. And so a lot of Japan's forests were turned into just cedar forests. This also causes a problem with hay fever come spring, because all these cedar trees release their pollen and cause hay fever all throughout the country. Also, if you listen, there's no bird sound. That's also something that comes when you lack biodiversity in the trees of a forest. It's kind of visually stunning in the beginning. You're sort of like, wow, look at all these trees, and they all look the same, and there's something almost like minimalist about it. It's like Dieter Rams' forest or something. But yeah, it actually isn't great. It's a little bit depressing after a while to walk through forests like this. But it should be a relatively short bit. We'll pop out the other side into a cool little seaside village. You can even see right here quite clearly. So there's the path we just came up. And then here is a rindo, which is a road for doing forestry work, timber work. So the value of these old paths, obviously, post-war was not seen. It was just kind of like, okay, great, there's an old road. Let's use that as the basis for going into these forests, making the forest work for ourselves, creating a better economy. And there is this slow movement to kind of re-biodiversify some of these forests and, make this into a much more pleasurable tourist, cultural, historical related activity rather than timber, which isn't that profitable now anyway. Here's the first one, first pass. Boom, easy peasy. I think we just keep going down here. Oh yeah. Here's an old stone that says something that I cannot easily read. Let's try to figure this out. There's that. Hidari. Is this Ise-Ji? Ise. It must be. And it looks like this stone was taller at some point and got chopped down. Left to Ise, which is correct. That is the way to Ise. So we made it over the second pass, very easy. And now we're getting ready to come down into this town that you kind of see peaks of down there below. It's kind of amazing how much brighter it got as soon as we got around the north face of the mountain. Once we got over to this side, instantly 2 or 3 stops brighter than it was before. Made it down to the little town and are in. Look at that light. Ooh, beautiful, beautiful light. Our inn is right down at the end of this road somewhere. Never been to it before. It is down, tucked in around all these little shops. Cool. This is our inn. This is significantly fancier than I thought it was going to be. Actually, I decided to just sit down for a second after all that moving. Ooh, I have to stop my GPS. So this guy says about 25K, which is what I thought it was going to be. So that's good. That's about right. It feels about right. I feel pretty good. I could do another 15K, but I'm glad I'm not. I'm happy to be here now. It's definitely late enough. This was took a lot longer. I mean, just filming all this stuff and talking with you guys. And I had one question come up about what resolution I'm filming at. I'm actually just filming at 1080p
24 frames a second. So there's no need to be shooting in 4K or even 2K, especially for where this is going, mainly on Instagram. We have run into a bunch of issues with Instagram today. So for example, about 2 hours into it, Instagram canceled the account because they thought it was a spam account, which, to be fair, it was a little bit shady, but I think if they watched some of the videos, they would have found out nothing was being sold except for farming life. And then 2, I didn't know Instagram had a limit of 100 stories at a time. So a bunch of the day is cut off. Only the last few hours survive on the stories. I tried to fix that by grabbing chunks of the stories and putting them in highlights. I'm a little bit frazzled. Putting them in highlights. I think Instagram may have deleted all the stories up until the point where they thought I was a spam account. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I recorded all of these outside of Instagram anyway. So I'm going to take them all, and I'm going to, tonight, maybe tomorrow, try to just stitch them all together into one big iMovie, I guess, and then output that, and then maybe put that behind a password on Vimeo. I don't know. I don't really like the Vimeo player, but what else is there for doing that kind of sort of video hosting? I think Gumroad might actually do video hosting too. Anyway, I'll look into that, and we'll find a place to kind of put this at least for a few more days, because I know a bunch of you missed out because of the way Instagram's handling the story limits and things like that. So let's look and see what is going on in this bag in terms of stuff. There's quite a bit. It's a huge bag, you can see. Expands out quite a bit. This is a Hyperlight. It's a Dyneema bag, so it means it's fully waterproof, mostly waterproof. There's a little bit of ingress at the bottom, but that only happens if it is completely, totally soaked and submerged in water. This is my bath kit with a bunch of stuff, extra stuff in there that I don't really need. This is my electronics kit. Everything gets a sack. This is my sleeping stuff. That is that. My coffee kit. This is more electronics for the laptop. This is a random sack full of sort of lens wipes and things like that. This is my med kit. So Tiger Bombs. This is tape for the feet that works great for blisters. I usually carry this no matter what I'm doing. If I'm on a walk that I'm running or not, because usually it helps someone out. It's my rain shell, Arc'teryx Gore-Tex rain shell, snacks, and energy powders. What else we got in here? This is my undies and socks sack. This is my sort of winter-ish stuff. So there's a down jacket in here, another scarf, another pair of gloves. What else we got? Seems like there's a lot, isn't there? This is my dirty laundry sack. This is my towel for wrapping my camera. This is a very bad map of this route. And then at the bottom is this stuff sack, this pod, that's what it's called. And then here's my laptop. This is a Hyperlight pod that is made, you can see, to fit perfectly inside of this, so there's no wasted space. I'm testing out these pods for the first time on this trip. They feel super flimsy, so we'll see how they hold up. This is for the 2400 and 3400 size packs. This is 2400, I think that's cubic centiliter? I don't know. 2400 is the size. It's a 40-liter pack, essentially, fully extended. But it's kind of nice that this fits, and you don't have to worry about sliding stuff down the sides or whatever. It's just a perfect fit for this pack. Inside of the winter stuff, this is my ultralight down jacket. That's great. It's very warm, but it's also very delicate. It only works as sort of a mid-layer. And then, as I said, scarf and some other gloves. And then there's MacBook Pro, Kindle. I put them in a waterproof stuff sack just because, I don't know, it's nice to have that extra layer of protection. I got rained on once, just actually a month ago in China, with this pack, with the laptop in there, not in a stuff sack, and it got soaked. Again, the water coming in from the bottom of the pack. And so now to avoid that, using this stuff sack, which seems to work. So this is a ton of stuff, actually. These two things could go. 2/3 of this could go. I don't need most of this. I don't need this technically. I don't need half of that. I don't need that at all. It's just nice to have something to change into that is like sweatpants, basically sweatpants and a really soft wool shirt. So I'm way overpacking here. But I can also send stuff back pretty easily in Japan using the Takyu-bin system, which is the kind of the mail system that if I ask the owner here for a little box, they'll have one, and for about $7 or $8, I can ship it back to my house, and it'll arrive on the day I get back. So I'll probably send a few things back. I'll probably send back about 1/3 of this. I just didn't know what the laundry situation was going to be like, or how warm it would or wouldn't be, how much sweating was going to go on. And so anyway, sort of overkill with the amount of packing, but it's okay. It's actually nice to have the weight on the hips and on the legs. I can feel the legs getting stronger, and it feels really good. So I just kind of treat it like a continued aesthetic practice, although it's kind of a stupid one. On the back, or the shoulder straps, I have this pouch, which is fantastic. The phone goes right into this meshing right here and sits there all day. It's absolutely perfect. My wallet, business cards, receipts and stuff go in here. This is waterproof, again made out of Dyneema, super light. I love the connectors. It snaps on here. This way you can see better. Snaps on to the straps that are built into the main straps. And then I have my Peak Design camera attachment here, which I find to be really handy. And I use a wrist strap that's connected up here as a secondary just protection measure. So if this ever fails, this will catch the camera. It's unlikely that both of these would fail. And the reason I have switched over to using this is a really heavy camera. This is about 3 kilograms in and of itself. And when the pack is properly weighted on the hips and the sternum strap is properly adjusted, there's almost no tension on the shoulders. Like my left shoulder right now and my right shoulder feel absolutely fine. They feel perfect. Like there's been no weight on them all day. So I find this is a way to carry a heavy camera without putting undue burden on the shoulders or the neck, which is fantastic. And then down here, these sides pockets are great. One of them holds the AirPods case, tissues, lens wipes, stuff like that, and the other one is snacks. So I can always have a snack while I'm walking without having to stop and pull anything out. Snacks and Kiyake, what is that? Sunscreen. And then so my poles live in this side. The other side pouch had all of my drinks in it, so I just keep filling up this water bottle. This is all the water I drank today. So in the winter, you don't need a lot of water. The coffee, some tea, just to mix it up. And then this is also extra snacks in the back here, just because you kind of don't know if you're going to hit a convenience store or not during the day. And so I just have some extra nuts, potato chips, a couple of Mekons, just for snacking on along the way. And my glasses are also here too. I had them in the side pouch, but I found they were digging into my hips, so took them to move them back there. Let me show you what the Peak Design camera attachment, how it functions in practice. Show you how this works. Okay, so you got this on, you got this attached. Basically, you'd have no weight on the shoulders. But the way this works is it's locked in there right now, but I just push, there's a little button on the right here. And so I grab the lens with my left hand, push on this with the right, and it slides out of that connector, usually a little more easily than that. And then basically this is how I'm shooting. And I've always got this sort of sitting here. This is also kind of like a weird security device. So if I'm in a city or town or a country where it's not quite as safe, folks are running by on motorcycles, grabbing things, they're probably not going to get away with this, connected on here. So it's also kind of a weird security device. But in general, it allows me to shoot exactly as I want to shoot, either like this or like this, with total security and no weight on the shoulder. And then so you shoot, you're done, and then this bottom bracket, which I have slid the heck out of, slides into this bracket that's on here, and makes a very satisfying noise if you get it right. There you go. Usually it works a little better than that. I think it's cold, and also I've kind of worn down the paint on it, and so I need to look into seeing if you can sand it to make it smooth again, because when you first get it, it's just super smooth in and out, and then it gets increasingly a little funky, but I don't know, it doesn't really bug me. One weird thing about this, though, is that the way they've designed, let's see, take this off, the way they've designed this to attach, so the screws are huge, they're really long, even though this isn't wide enough to really attach to any shoulder strap that I've found. So it only works for these sorts of straps, these like secondary straps on top of the main straps. And in that case, the screws are just way too long. So I have to cover them in electrical tape, or else you have this kind of screw protruding out that, I don't know, can catch on things, can stab you. It's just not cool. It's just a kind of a weird, inelegant component of the design. And then the other thing that's really annoying with the Leica is that because of their antiquated, nonsensical base plate design, and because of the way this works with the base plate, you have to use a special tool to take this off every time you want to get at the SD card or the battery. Thankfully, battery life is pretty long. But, for example, in May, when I was shooting every day and uploading every day, it's just kind of a pain in the butt. But, that said, I've taken this on and off probably 100, 150 times now, and it's still fine. But I do need to have this hex wrench with me all the time, which is kind of a bummer. So I prefer, this is more of a problem with the Leica than it is with this system, but still, if you're using it with this M10 and you're going to run into that problem. But otherwise, I love this system, and I have no plans to go back to having a neck strap or shoulder strap anytime soon.
So I realized that I've got too much stuff because so many places have washing machines. So I got a little box, and I'm going to send back a third of what I'm carrying to make the next few days a little bit less onerous. Let us search for the washing machine, which is apparently somewhere outside.
Uh-huh. Okay, okay. That's that's something. That's live food. Uh-huh. Washing machine. Hello. Let's go for a little walk down to the ocean. See how that looks. Got about 2 hours before dinner. I'm gonna do the late dinner because I just wanted to relax. Eating can be quite a cerebral event here, and I suspect that this is going to be a dinner with a lot of different dishes, so why not push it a little bit? Ooh, I see some pretty beach ahead. Look at that. Amazing. This is also a campground. It would be very, 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 very easy to camp the Ise-Ji. Quite an easy thing to do. Got a nice big moon up there tonight, about a half. Ah, really pretty. So someone asked if there's anything I bring along purely for ritualistic purposes that has no practical value. And I guess so, yeah. I mean, I have some Buddhist juzu on my wrist that are from the first time I went to Koyasan. Um, that was about 10 years ago now. And I kind of always have those with me to remind me, uh, just that that's where a lot of this began, was on that first trip. A lot of the walking and a lot of this kind of exploration into these bits of Japan that I kind of ignored for the first decade of my time here. And also, I mean, even just the camera itself is kind of a ritualistic item. A lot of the photos I'm taking, I'm not taking for anyone or for anything, but just kind of to be present or to sort of be observant in a way that feels correct to me. But obviously, it is in the trip itself is in no way contingent on having those photos taken or anything like that, or even having the camera with me. But um, I couldn't imagine doing these trips without it, and that's why I spent so much time kind of looking for the most comfortable way to always have it there, even when I didn't, I don't use it. Like on a day like today, I took about 3 photos, and I mean, all of my energy was going into this, into sort of making sure all this was functioning properly. Um, but it was just nice to have the object there, the weight there. Uh, it feels like definitely like a comfort animal, even though it's in a lot of ways just kind of an expensive paperweight. Hmm. Now we are in work mode, which involves potato chips. I never eat potato chips except for when I'm doing a bunch of hiking, and then I crave potato chips. And so potato chips and non-alcoholic beer is how we end the hike day. I know how's it possible to be so cool? I don't know. It's tough. Um, so now we're in sort of data aggregation synthesis mode. So I'll be writing up more of my notes from today, which I were taking kind of along the way using voice dictation, just about the quality of the roads, the ease of the passes, um, where there are good cafes, places to get supplies, things like that. And I will be also, I have iMovie open right now, and so I'm going to try to figure out how to import all the stuff that I shot today and create some big thing and find a home for that online sooner rather than later, just because it would be nice to get that done. Got to plug in my audio recorder, import SW945's recording, process that, put that together, get that up on Simplecast so it broadcasts out to all the podcast agencies.
And then I think that's it for today. No Roden, no Ridgeline, um, no other big emails. I have some other, I have a bunch of other just random emails I need to get to that I've been ignoring. So that will be the rest of the evening. But it's usually about 2 to 3 hours of solid work every night after the walk is complete. Take a bath, get the chips, get the non-alcoholic beer ready, go. Okay, that was significantly easier than I thought. We've got all of the video imported up until now, and it just kind of goes down here. Boom. So about an hour and 50 minutes or so far. And now to find a good place to dump this online with the password. And that's also easy to use. Probably about time to go get our laundry. Nice. Very exciting. Smells good. Okay. Laundry success. The little excitements of doing these kinds of trips. Couple notes on the laundry front. One, probably don't even have to be doing it, to be honest. I could wear all this stuff. The only thing that really needs washing daily, I think, are socks. I just do not abide by any philosophies that let socks get disgusting and stinky, because it's kind of hard to reverse from a place of stinkiness because it's in your boots and it's just horrible. Just avoid it. But the other problem with these kinds of Japanese establishments is that I don't have a private bathroom here, so I don't have a private sink. So the sink spaces are shared spaces, and so it's a little less easy to use that as a laundry room, your own laundry room. So for washing, hand washing in the sink. It's not impossible, but it's just a little less possible than it is if you have your own private bathroom. That said, most of these inns along a path like the Ise-Ji are extremely amicable to laundry. So last night's place had laundry, the night before had laundry, tonight has laundry. I think the only place on this route that won't have laundry is a business hotel in Owase, which is weird because most business hotels have laundry. Um, there's a couple of cities on the Ise-Ji that just don't quite have it together when it comes to lodging. Owase is one of them. Dearth of even sort of interesting places to stay. And then the other is Kumano City. You know, this is the Kumano Kodo, and Kumano City itself doesn't really have good places to stay. There's like two tiny little guest houses, and that's about it, and some really, really sketchy business hotels. I stayed in one of them. It was fine, but it was kind of creepy. You can pick it up at any drugstore, but if you don't say it properly, they have no idea what you're talking about. So, Saro me chiru. Saro, or just take a screenshot of this. Got it? Take a screenshot, show that to the pharmacy person. They'll know what you're talking about. It's the best stuff I've found. And like today, this is day 3 of this walk. My legs felt great. The only little bit of pain I had was on my shins. Just those muscles were a little bit achy. But considering how much I'm carrying, yesterday and the day before was a lot more ascent and descent than today, and even more kilometers than today. Considering all that, it's pretty great, I think. Anyway, good luck. So it's dinner time, and I'm having dinner alone in this room. I'm just alone in this room with dinner. I wish you guys were here with me. Okay, sometimes I book places and, I research to a certain degree, but there's some surprises that emerge sometimes when you're staying places. And this is, I've never eaten one of these before. I don't think I've ever seen one of these before, but it's here. And It is very big. This is a Ise-Ji. That's a shrimp. That's not a lobster. It's a shrimp. Ise style shrimp. It is huge. They wanted to make it as sashimi for me, but I told them if you don't want it to be wasted, we should probably boil or do something with it. I kind of wanted to set it free. It was alive. It was huge, but we'll give it a try. Yo, okay. So I managed to eat the largest dinner ever given to mankind. It was so big. They gave me an entire Ise-Ji. Um, that alone is more than a single meal. I'm not entirely sure why they gave me so much food, but apparently I should have looked a little more closely at what plan I was getting here because I think they gave me the big one. Anyway, it took like an hour and a half just to eat. I ate a few things I've never eaten before, a few other things cooked in ways I've never had before. It was all really delicious. Now I know. Like I said, a big part of this trip is sort of reconnaissance. I'm planning on leading a walk and talk here maybe next year. So just kind of knowing what we have to pick from and the quality of service and the nicest, and everyone who works here has just been so lovely. So that's been interesting to see. Very instructive. I am now gonna finish packing, get everything laid out for tomorrow. I want to think about nothing when I wake up in the morning for the most part. Just get dressed and eat and get going. Minimizing packing in the morning, I find, is the best way to decrease the chance of leaving something behind. So get everything in the bag at night if possible. And the stuff that isn't in the bag, line it up on the floor or on a table. And on that table, clean off all the other stuff on the table. So you often get to a hotel and it's just full of garbage all over the horizontal surfaces. Get rid of all the pamphlets, get rid of all the booklets, put them in a drawer somewhere, get them out of sight, and then just make that space, that horizontal surface your own, just for your things. So that way it's super easy to see if you're forgetting something or not. So, SW945, just been uploaded, published. Crank through a bunch of emails. I know my route for tomorrow looks good. It's going to be about the same as today. And then I'll take a rest day on Friday. I'll just do like a 5K, tiny little walk on Friday. So that's about it for now. I will send one more message from the futon. So we have some morning and evening futon parody going on. And that is where I will sign off for the day, maybe in about 10 minutes or so. Try to be asleep by 9:30, 10 p.m. I'm really zonked. It's been a lot of fun though. So talk to you in a little bit. Good night. Oyasumi. I am totally zonked. That was probably the most good night. Oyasumi. Thank you for following along today. For those of you who managed to catch the bits where I was actually outside walking, I think Instagram worked well in some ways and not well in others. I really thought it would sort of have a much higher threshold for a number of clips in 24-hour period, but it looks like it's only about 100. So that's kind of a bummer. We kind of blew through that. I am presently putting together a full video of this, which I will hopefully have uploaded and will be able to share tomorrow evening. That's the plan. So if you missed big chunks of this, or if you want to go back to other pieces of it, who knows why, but I'll put that up and I will leave that up somewhere on some service for about a week. So folks who missed out can catch up.
I think that'll kind of make sense. But I like the sort of impulse of the Instagram mode, which kind of forced me to cap everything at a minute, like I'm doing right now. I keep thinking in these minute chunks, which is helpful, but also um, just the interface is quite good too. Being able to tap past stuff that you're not interested in made me feel less self-conscious about rambling like this, because I know that you could just quickly tap 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 and fast forward through it. So anyway, it's a beta. It's all a test, an experiment. But I had a lot of fun doing it. It definitely changed my self-awareness of the walk. I don't think I would have done anything differently today. I would have taken more photos if I hadn't been doing this, and I would have taken fewer breaks. I kind of took the breaks to maybe appear kinder to myself than I really am in real life, where I maybe don't take as many breaks as I should. And also the breaks were a good reason, good moment to kind of check up on things and make sure the process was working properly. So anyway, but otherwise, it was about business as usual. This Yokon is a little bit fancier than I'd like. It's just too much work. Having food that requires so much attention. I'm a big fan of just grabbing something simple at night, and just having downtime, being able to process through the day, media that was produced during the day, and think about what to work on for tomorrow. But anyway, it is about 9:30, 9:40 over here, something like that, and I need to just pass out. Got about 25K tomorrow, but much more climbing. Going to be doing about 500 meters of ascent and descent tomorrow, so I need to make sure my legs recover. And so I want to make sure I get a solid 8 hours of sleep. But thank you for all for following, and we'll think about doing another one of these pop-up walks, 002, maybe sometime in early 2020. For now, we'll see you on Ridgeline next week. See you. Good night. Bye-bye.